paralysed. Our medic thought I was paralysed from the waist down. Took one of my morphines off, stuck it straight in my leg. A few minutes later, I had my second one. A Black Hawk came to pick me up. They classed me as one of the highest categories because I couldn't feel my legs at the time. The Canadian doctor said, you've broken your back. I wanted to be a soldier, so I thought, join the RAF, want to be a soldier. The RAF Regiment sort of made sense. It was hard from day one. I thought to myself, what am I doing here? So you'd learn how to use the GPMG, you'd be on the ranges, or the weapon systems, and then straight to Senibich for 4 weeks. I was posted to 2 Squadron, was deployed to Afghanistan in January 2010. I was the section machine gunner when we was on a vehicle patrol that day. As our driver hit this covert, this Wimmock just flew up in the air. The gun platform just crushed my spine. I started to feel my legs the following day, and I've never felt such a relief. I just said to myself, I'm getting out of this hospital to go to that funeral. It's one of the things that makes you miss the military. I was nominated for the Role Model of the Year award. I work for the Military Preparation College. We train and prepare 16 to 25-year-olds that aspire to join the armed force. I'm lucky I'm walking. I've got friends that didn't make it back.
Welcome to the debrief. This week, I've got a young man from the RAF Regiment, former RAF Regiment, who's now out doing all kinds of other stuff. So, David, how are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, good, thank you, yourself.
Good, superb. Yeah, thanks for coming in.
No, pleasure.
Listen, I'm going to take you back to your childhood to start this one off today, because we want to know a little bit about you. So, where are you from?
So I grew up in a town called Bridlington, East Yorkshire.
Okay.
Small seaside town.
You've lost that northern accent. Eh? I'd have thought
I've lost
a bit more of an ecky thump on you than that. Like, you know what I mean?
Every time I speak to family members up there, they all say that my accent is starting to change a little bit. I'm not having it, but apparently it is.
So, growing up, family environment, good, all that sort of stuff. Happy families.
Yeah, happy families. My dad moved down south in '99. He had a big firm that helped build the Millennium Dome, which is now the O2.
Oh wow, okay.
And I ended up moving down with him sort of a few years later.
Yeah.
So
Did you stay with your mother? Did your parents stay together, or they split up?
They divorced in 2001.
Oh, okay.
So I moved down with my dad when I was 14, and luckily my stepdad's from Ruislip, so down this way anyway. So they all moved down the year after. So
all right. So what was you like at school? Was you a good kid at school?
All right.
All right. Yeah.
I wouldn't say very academic.
No.
I was one of those that I ended up selling all the fags. So and
industrious.
Ended up making a fortune.
That's industrious.
Yeah,
mate.
yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So did you when you was at school? Did you get any qualifications, anything like that?
A few GCSEs. Okay. Did the Air Cadets for a couple of years.
I was going to say, did you do anything like the cadets or anything?
Yeah.
How was the Air Cadets?
Enjoyed it. Flying was something that I really wanted to do. So
right, okay. Because what did you fly? They fly the old glider thing.
It was the Tutor. It was, which is a small aircraft that all trainee pilots fly in for the first sort of 6 months to a year.
Did you obviously with an instructor, or did you get going out on your own?
I didn't get far enough to do it on my own.
No.
I think I had 3 or 4 lessons.
Okay.
If they'd have suggested me going up on my own, I think I would have politely declined.
Right. So, I mean, assumedly as well, you need to have a fair amount of noggin to be flying stuff anyway.
Yeah, certainly do. Yeah, it's something I really wanted to do in the military, but as I wasn't academic at school, I thought it's definitely not the way
it's
forward.
It's not work, is it? You know what I mean? You want to keep your finger in the sky, don't you? So you had a bit of an exposure to the RAF there. Is that what sort of like flicked your switch about thinking about joining the forces, or was there something else that made you think about that?
Partly, my great-granddad was a Lancaster bomber rear gunner.
Wow.
He was killed during the Second World War. So I've been told quite a few stories from my nan, and I've still got his flying log as well, which has got all his flying sources and stuff. And that sort of fascinated me.
I bet, that was proper nails time, that one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A rear gunner and one of them.
Yeah.
You had to be something special. He must have been a proper geezer, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got some photos and stuff, which is fantastic.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
And that's what sort of interested me in the RAF, but I wanted to be a soldier at the same time. So I thought, join the RAF, want to be a soldier. The RAF Regiment sort of made sense. And
Did you ever think about the army? Did you just...
Not at all.
No,
not at all.
So you always just thought RAF soldier, RAF Regiment.
Yeah.
And did you know much about it at that stage? Did you?
There wasn't too much on the internet about it at the time.
What year did you join?
2008.
Okay, all right.
I think if I was to look now, there's quite a lot on there. Obviously,
I'm going to get to it, don't you? Let's get it out the open, shall we? The 5 mile of death. Did you do it? Oh dear. We're trying to get him on the show. I do want to get him on the show because I do believe that it was a motivational speech by him that sort of like just got picked up and hijacked by everybody. And as funny as it was from outside looking in, genuinely, I have a friend of mine who was RAF Regiment, who was that squadron at the time, who almost denies it now. Do you know what I mean? He sort of like goes sort of like won't tell you straight away when you ask him. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think it brought a bit of? Did it heap any sort of like resentment on anybody in the regiment at all? Did it, or do you think that people are sort of like it was what it was type thing?
I think the person that initially filmed that video, at the end of the day, it was just a motivational talk. It was trying to psych the lads up before they went on the 5 miler. Straight into the sort of 5-6 hour firefight.
Because that's what people don't actually realise. It's not just a 5 miler, is it? It is afterwards, full scales, all the bumps. Right? But you are actually going to go and do an advanced contact, effectively, aren't you?
Yeah, so that was at the end of the field gunners course. After you graduate, you go and do like a 9-week field gunners. I think it might be different now. So you spend a month in Steady Bridge.
I was going to talk to you about the training. How does the training? What's the training like?
It was 22 weeks. Okay. So you do the sort of first 9 weeks, which it was back then, which is your phase 1.
Drilling discipline, loads of screaming, loads of shouting, pulling boots, haircuts.
At the end of the 9 weeks, you get a little certificate, a little flash to say you're now a member of the Royal Air Force. And then you go and do your straight into your phase 2 training, which is all the infantry stuff. Okay. So it really steps up a notch, as you can imagine.
So primarily then you train with everybody else in the RAF? And then your trade happens to be infantry, is that right? Or is it just RAF Regiment who train together?
That's what they do now. So now everyone that joins the Air Force goes straight to Halton. So they do 10 weeks there. Yeah. They have the big graduation, and then they all go off and do their phase 2 training in whatever job role they're going into. When I did mine, it was all at Honington. So day 1, week 1, straight Honington. Yeah. All the instructors were regiment, and it was hard from day 1, week 1. It wasn't they'd broken you in gently over the 10 weeks at Halton. It was pretty nailed.
It was straight in, diving straight in. So you get your first flash, your RAF, whatever it is, the propeller or something. I don't know. Okay.
So that's you get that when you graduate. So it was back then aircraftsman. I think it's AS1 or
I've
something.
got no idea. I didn't
still learning it myself.
It didn't affect me in the army. I'm going to tell you. Like, everything they did, they took off me again anyway. So, so you got your thing up, and then you go away and do your infantry training. How was that?
Something I really enjoyed. I almost withdrew at one point, and it was on we call it Fieldcraft 1, which is your first exercise. Yeah. It was the second morning. We're doing our morning admin routine, which you get about an hour and a half, which goes by like that. Everywhere was frosty. There was snow on the ground, and I thought to myself, "What am I doing here?
What is this?"
Stuck at it. And
whereabouts was the exercise? Whereabouts was it?
We did that one at Stanter, which was just around the corner from Wellington itself.
Yeah, I know it quite well. Yeah. And that can be a bleak old honking place, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the only perk to it is it's flat. So unlike Bridge and Otterburn, it's flat, which certainly is a bonus.
Yeah. So you do those exercises. How long is it? So when you do this advanced to contact and the 5 miles, is that near the end of your training, is it?
Yeah, so that's all part of the field gunner. So after you graduate, it was at the 22-week point. Yeah. I think there was 18 of us that graduated on the day. Yeah. You then do your big graduation ceremony, you go home for a week, and then it's straight back into further training. But you've got your mud guards on then. You're actually a member of the RAF Regiment. Okay. But then you stayed with your training team, so you were then for 9 weeks. Yeah. So you'd learn how to use the GPMG, you'd be on the ranges, other weapon systems, and then straight to Stenibridge for 4 weeks.
Okay, cool. Good range package.
Fantastic,
I do enjoy range. It's a great place, Stenibridge, as well. Yeah, all jokes aside, with getting over the Campion and it raining instantly and it being cold and piss wrapped the whole time that you're there. You do get some good stuff done there, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
It's one of those places. It's got its own weather system. I think. I think you probably spent a lot more time there than I did.
I've spent a little bit of time there. I've been there recently, actually, and it's still exactly the same. It doesn't change. It just rains, rains. Yeah. Horizontally sometimes, but then it still rains. You know what I mean? So when you finished there, what was your first posting or whatever you have? Did you have a posting or a draft? What they call it in the RAF?
Yes, I went. I was posted to 2 Squadron. Okay. I think at the time there was 7.
Is that the airborne lot? Is it?
It was, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so there was 7 squadrons in the RAF Regiment.
Say it, 2 power. Go on, just to get a bit of flack our way. Say
the
2
real
power.
2 power. Please don't show that.
Love it.
So it's one of those squadrons. You can't be sent there. It's an option. Okay. Normally there's the 2 or 3 squadrons which are needed. Yeah. Our rotations were quite continue for Afghanistan because there's only 7 squadrons.
Yeah.
We always had 2 out there at one time, so we'd have one in sort of Bastion and one over in Kandahar. So it was whichever squadron needed the blokes at the time, but 2 squadrons came up, and it was the first time it'd come up in about 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
They'd just got back from Iraq. They'd spent 6 weeks at home, and then that was their first day back on the unit. Was the first day we all turned up, and there was 5 of us that turned up.
So you've turned up crowbag with lads that have just got back from a decent tour out in the sandpit, and you're like crowbag.
Yeah, there was about 140 of us, 140 of them that stood waiting for us. And it was it was pretty terrifying walking through the door. Yeah,
they're all getting their medals, and you're just getting the tea.
Yeah.
Oh, so what was your first tour?
Afghanistan.
Okay.
So I was deployed to Afghanistan in January 2010.
And what sort of work was that involving?
So we were deployed to Kandahar.
Okay.
A little bit different to what we were sort of doing at Bastion. We were out on the ground in Kandahar. So we had 4 flights. And we were all out in the FOBs. So we'd have one flight that's actually on Kandahar doing the QRS stuff. So you'd have a lot that's on 20-minute standby, 4-hour standby, and then the rest of you would be out in the FOBs.
Okay.
And it was
patrolling, dominating the ground, all the good stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty much. It's doing exactly what the army were doing, but we do test rules as well. So when the aircraft used to come in on a night, we'd have to go out on the ground just to make sure
to cover them in, just to make sure that nobody was out there trying to plug them out of the sky.
Yeah, that's it.
So, how many tours did you do?
Only the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had a bit of a nonsense out there.
I did, yeah. So
come on, tell us about your nonsense.
I was only out there 6 weeks, so I was on a vehicle patrol in the
Did you get your medal?
I did, yeah.
You did get your medal, That's all right. So at least you got your medal. So come on, tell us what happened.
So I was the section machine gunner. So when we was on a vehicle patrol that day, I was the top cover in the back of a Wimmock.
Yeah.
We had our warrant officer on the patrol with us, so he had to go and do a meeting with one of the village elders. Yeah. So we were out most of the afternoon. On the way back, our vehicle got bogged in. So we had to be winched out by the Panther.
Yeah.
Which obviously is a big armoured vehicle.
Yeah.
Which then put us at the rear of the patrol. The area that we had to get across was quite boggy. There was a lot of steep culverts in the ground. So as each vehicle went over, the cover got worse. The vehicles went higher up in the air. And I was ordered to sit on the metal gun platform that you normally stand on with a gun.
Okay.
I just remember hearing it over the radio, and I was thinking to myself, why can't I just get out? Would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, I can walk faster than this.
I was ordered to sit down and did what I was told. I held onto the gun turret handles, which was slightly angled forward, luckily, which meant I was leaning forward a little bit. As our driver hit this culvert, this Wimmock it flew up in the air. I went up with it, and you know these Wimmocks have got no suspension really over vehicles. Probably should have been using them at the time. And as it came down and was on its way back up, I was still coming down, so the gun platform just crushed my spine. Oof. Yeah.
Did you know straight away you had a problem?
Yeah, straight
away.
Your
legs went. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah. So I think after I've been shouting for 7 or 8 seconds, our medic came running over, took one of my morphines off, stuck it straight in my leg.
Yeah.
A few minutes later, I had my second one, and they called in a Kazibak, so a Black Hawk, came to pick me up. I think about 30 minutes later. I think the class me is one of the highest categories because I couldn't feel my legs at the time.
Okay.
So I thought I was paralysed. Our medic thought I was paralysed from the waist down. So I was evacuated back to Kandahar, back to the Royal 3 Hospital. I had an emergency CT scan, and a Canadian doctor came out. We had our commanding officer with us at the time, so he came to see me.
Yeah.
And this Canadian doctor said, you've broken your back, it's quite severe. We can't tell if the numbness in your legs is because of the swelling or if you've damaged your spinal cord. My commanding officer said straight away, you need to call your family. And at the time, I was struggling to speak, so he had to do it for me.
Yeah.
I was then put on the ward. The following morning, the rest of the flight came to see me in hospital. I think I heard the word biff flying around a few times, as you can imagine.
The Fablon came out for your biff chit.
Yeah. We had quite a tough 24 hours then. I was on quite a lot of medication, as you can imagine. I'd fallen asleep, and I got a nudge from our warrant officer. So he woke me up and said, I've got to tell you, an IED's gone off. He said, Luke's dead and Ash is critically injured. And I was thinking to myself, they were only a few minutes ago, like, taking the piss out of me, and now you're telling me, like, Luke's dead. Tommy Barker, who was the top cover of the Wimmock, he survived, but he was blown out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, he came into the hospital. He had to spend a night there because of his concussion. And he came in on his back just shouting, "Luke's dead, Luke's dead." And at the time, I was thinking, I don't know what's going on here. I'm on a lot of meds. I saw my mate here a few minutes ago, and all this is going on. So it was a really, really strange sort of 48 hours.
Pretty stressful as well, I'd imagine.
I was supposed to fly back the night after I'd been injured, but because of Ash, who was the vehicle commander, he survived luckily, but he was severely injured. So we had to wait for him to be stabilised, and we got evacuated back to Selyoke in the UK.
Okay, so you get back to Selyoke, and the war is over for you now, is it? You realise that I ain't going back out there now. So what are they telling you? What are the doctors telling you?
I was in Selyoke for just over 2 weeks.
Okay.
I spent 10 days laying on my back. I wasn't allowed to move, couldn't turn on my side. They then got me a big back brace fitted, so I looked like a bit of a transformer. And then I had to go for another scan, and it showed that when I'd stood up, the pressure had made my vertebrae crush a little bit more. They wanted to operate. The day before, I'd watched Luke's repatriation on BBC News, so I watched it on the hospital TV screen, and I just said to myself, I'm getting out of this hospital to go to that funeral.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna stop me going to that. And I got out of hospital the day before his funeral.
Wow. Okay. In what sort of condition were you when you got out?
I had a huge back brace on underneath one of the coats that I was wearing, and just in a lot of pain.
So at what stage did this end your career? This accident?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. So at what stage did they come in and tell you, right, we're going to have to MD you? You have to be medically discharged here.
So I did 7 admissions at Headley Court. So I did 3 on the complex trauma and the 4 on the early spines. Normally you go into early spines, into spines, and then hopefully back to unit. But I was told quite early on that I wouldn't be able to carry the weight again to go into the job role that I was doing.
So did they tell you weren't going to walk again though, or did you sort of like say, "I will walk" type of stuff?
I was told when I was in Kandahar, when I was sort of still in the hospital, that there was a good chance that I wouldn't be able to walk because I couldn't feel my legs. Yeah. I started to feel my legs the following day, and I've never felt such a relief.
Yeah, I bet.
In all my life.
It
turned out it was a compression fracture on my L1. Where I was leaning forward a little bit on the gun turret, my vertebrae had fractured completely through the middle. Yeah. But it had crushed completely at the front. And they said if I'd have been sat upright or leaning back, I would have crushed my spinal cord and I would have been paralysed.
That's
so
gone,
extremely lucky. And I tell myself every day, if ever I'm having I'm in pain a lot. I've had a lot of surgery. I'm waiting for another one. But I always tell myself I'm lucky. I'm walking. I've got friends that didn't make it back. And I am lucky. Yeah.
So you realise you're out. You're out. Where did you go to when you got out? What was the score? Did you have somewhere to go to? What happened?
I'd been on sick leave for quite a while, so I didn't really return back to work from after I'd been injured. I was med discharged in December 2011. I started my next job 6 days after, and that was through the poppy factory. I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. It's not something that I'd even thought about.
No, of course not. No.
I had an email from Help for Heroes one day saying that there's a position come up through the poppy factory, and it was as a youth mentor for troubled teenagers through the West Kent YMCA. So I thought, YMCA, that's a song in it. So I did a little bit of research, applied for it, and I started that literally a week after I was discharged.
Okay.
So that was within a carpentry workshop.
And how was your walking and mobility at this stage?
It wasn't too bad. I'd had 2 operations up until that point, and it was working quite well. It's a strange one with my back. I have a surgery, it's all right for a little bit, and then it gets worse again, and it's just a constant...
Just a battle all
the
time.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with the Invictus Games?
Again, an email from Help for Heroes. I saw the one in Orlando. I saw it on TV, so I applied for the Toronto Games. Okay. I didn't realise you had to actually attend the training camps and stuff beforehand. I thought I powered it before. I've been on a rowing machine before. I know how to do it. I don't need to go to a camp. I'll just rock up at the trials. Obviously, wasn't selected. There's a criteria. You've got to attend all the camps and stuff. Yeah. And then it came up for Sydney the year after. So I thought, well, I'm going for that.
I'm going for it. So what talk me through sort of like from deciding you're going to go to the procedure to actually get there and train and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so sent my application off. I had an email back saying that the first training camp is on this date. But then it wasn't all multi-sports at the same time. It was individual. So I chose the sports I wanted to do. I enjoyed weightlifting. So I chose powerlifting, rowing, and athletics. Started attending the camps, and then the trials came on at Bath University. I think there was a couple of thousand of us that went for the trials, and they only needed a team of 72.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. So it's well
so,
sort of like it's well supported, as it were. But, you know, lots of people trying to get there. Yeah. And what was your discipline? What was you going to do?
Powerlifting, which is the power bench. So a lot of people think powerlifting is squatting, and it's just laying on a power bench. It didn't affect my back. It's just all upper body.
Okay.
Sprinting, because I enjoyed running and the rowing. So the sports that I initially attended the camps for are the sports that I got selected to go for out in Sydney.
So you went to Sydney. How did that go?
Not as well as I'd hoped, but what a fantastic experience. I was quite ill the day before the rowing. So with the rowing, I was doing the 4 minute, and then later in the afternoon, the 1 minute.
Okay.
I did the 4 minutes, which was the longest 4 minutes in my life. Tried getting up on the rowing machine, and I pretty much creamed in on the floor. I was advised probably not to do the 1 minute, but I thought I've trained hard for this.
So I'm going
to go and do it. Did the 1 minute, made it around the back room this time, and then creamed in.
What's the feeling like on those camps? Is it good fun? Is it is it a great team event type thing?
It really is. It's one of the things that makes you miss the military. Is having that level of banter.
Yeah,
I've never had another job or been in an experience where you get that. You're surrounded by like-minded people, and it brought that back, that level of camaraderie and proper teamwork, and just laughing constantly.
That's what it's all about, really.
Yeah.
What about visits? Did you get any visits here? Did Harry pitch up at all? Did you see Harry down there?
Yeah, saw him. David Beckham was there.
Oh, wow, okay.
So he was watching my 100-metre final.
Okay.
So once I crossed the finish line, he called me over, and I went and spoke to him for 2 minutes, which was a little bit surreal.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. You meet these people, you see them on telly all your life, and all of a sudden there he is. You're like, you're right, mate.
Yeah, but we had Jason Robinson. He was out there with his family for a few weeks. So he spent the full week with us, and he's one of my rugby idols. So having him there with us for the week was just fantastic.
Yeah, I bet. Back aside, Bex.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, did you win your race? How did you get on?
I won my heat.
Okay.
I came fourth in the final.
Okay.
I missed out on bonds by 0.7 of a second, so slightly gutted. But I
You
leaned forward a little bit more. I got it.
Bigger chest.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was fuming at the time, but just what an incredible experience.
Yeah. Big crowds. What were the crowds like?
Huge crowds. Yeah.
Must be quite daunting running in front of all them people.
Yeah, it was like it from the off. Even when we landed in Sydney, there was crowds there, brass bands, and you felt like
a proper carnival.
You were treated like celebrities for the full week. And
really?
It really was one hell of an experience.
What was the flight like on the way down there? Was it an RAF flight, was it? Or was it?
No, we were flown from Heathrow up, so we were British Airways.
Okay.
They stickered one of their planes up, saying like, good luck Team UK and things like that.
Oh, wow, okay, so the full kit and caboodle, you got the whole lot.
Yeah. For the first 2 days out there, obviously with the change of sleep and things like that, people were training at like 1, 2 a.m. Obviously should have been asleep out there. But 1, 2 a.m. everyone's wide awake UK time. So everyone's down the gym doing a bit of training.
So once you've done your bits and pieces, is scope for a quick drink or anything like that? Can you get out? Do you get a bit of time off?
Yeah, so it depends how many sports you do. Some people just did the one. So for the cyclists, for example, theirs was over on day one. Everyone's encouraged to not go out in Sydney and have a proper jolly up, but to go and support each other, to sit in the crowds and help each other out. We all got on it a little bit after the closing ceremony.
You do get a bit of downtime, do you? Yeah, good. I was going to say, you go all that way and then it's sort of like, you know what I mean? You do, and you got a bit of downtime.
Yeah.
So you had a bit of a laugh down there.
Yeah, certainly did. Yeah.
You're talking to me like you're going, what happened in Sydney? Staying in Sydney, Phil. I'm winding you up, mate. So you get back from there. I can imagine once you get back from having done something like that, then you'll hit a bit of a period where you'll go, what do I do now? Do you know what I mean? Because I certainly would. Because you do these sorts of things. It's like, for instance, when I made the film out in Syria, had a great time out there, back on a war zone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Got back from there, and I'm like, what's happening now?
Yeah.
So what did you get up to when you got back from there?
For me, it wasn't too bad. About a week after I got back, I got an email saying I've been nominated for a Sun Military Award.
Oh, okay.
So that sort of took my mind off of that dip, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
I spoke to some of the other lads and lasses that I competed with, and some of them did struggle. And it's something we were sort of advised about beforehand. So the support was there if they needed it, but I know I'd had to focus on which was.
What was that, the Millies or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was nominated for the Role Model of the Year award.
Oh, wow.
So there was 3 of us that were nominated. So attended the awards. Didn't win it, but to even be nominated was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's
phenomenal.
cool. Is it? I can't remember what year I went to the Millies, but it's a great bash, isn't it? Lots of people there. And
2018, I think it was when I went for it.
I can't remember what year I did it. I went there, sat on a table right at the back. But it was fun. So you get through that. What are you doing for work now?
So I work for the Military Preparation College.
Okay.
So we train and prepare 16 to 25-year-olds that aspire to join the armed forces.
And how did you get into that?
My second job after leaving the military, I worked with a company called Challenger Troop, which was going into schools. I was all ex-military, trying to instill the military ethos into disengaged and troubled youths. And I had a friend that was an instructor at the Croydon College for MPCT.
Yeah.
So I found out a little bit about it, and he got promoted, and I ended up getting the job as an instructor. But the instructor there, it's just like being an NCO on basics, basically. Half what you deliver is physical training. You do your theory, your practical military lessons, your qualifications. So I spent 18 months as an instructor, and then I went across and set up a new college myself. In Battersea. So I was there as a centre manager, and just watching some of these youngsters come through the door, seeing how they were on day 1, week 1, and
it's a great thing, isn't it? Because some of them are a little drifting, aren't they? Some of them, do you know what I mean? They don't really know what they're doing with their lives, and they turn up for the MPCT. I always get it wrong. And they turn up for that, and it does turn them around, doesn't it?
Yeah. With the students we got, it is a complete mixed bag. We have some that have got 9 GCSEs and A levels, and we have some that didn't even turn up at school. We're not academic at all.
Yeah.
The environment is different to a school. We don't have the year groups and stuff. Everyone's there helping each other out. They've all got the same end goal, and that's to join the military. And it's something that most
do they wear uniform?
They do, yeah. So they wear the MTP trousers, boots, but they wear like an MPCT polo top, which is blue.
Because out of the rest of it, are you based out of a college, are you?
Some of our locations are within FE colleges.
Because how does that go down? Because they're a little bit sort of like mamby-pamby, some of these places nowadays, aren't they?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Seeing people cutting around with boots and combat
yeah.
boots and all that sort of stuff, will go down like a fart in a spacesuit, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? So how'd you get around that? Or do you not have to get around that?
Not me personally. So when I was in Battersea, it was an army reserve centre.
Yeah.
I think probably 90% of our colleges are in reserve centres.
Oh, okay. So that's
so you've got that military environment.
Negates all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I'll say that because my grandson was on a college, and it was all a little bit sort of like, ooh, look at them. Do you know what I mean? And you're doing different stuff, aren't you? You're outside. You're doing military training. You're doing press ups on the floor. How dare you not use them out? Do you know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. I think the staff
have to be a little bit quieter in the corridors in the FE colleges compared to the reserve centres, but yeah.
And do you give them all the sort of like discipline side of stuff as well? Is it all you'd have to have a decent haircut and polish your boots and what? Do you inspect them and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, the whole package. So it's Monday to Thursday, so they turn up at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Also, they travel in the civvies, and then they have half an hour to get into the uniform. The staff come down and inspect them at 9 o'clock, make sure they polish the boots. The uniform's clean, ironed, and they look presentable. It's then straight to an energizer just to get them fired up for the day. And they're in the classroom working on the qualifications, the theory, military lessons. And then
so they do a bit of theory. What sort of practical stuff can you do with them? Do they do any? Can you do any gun stuff? Can they fire weapons or anything like that? Or is it?
We do everything but fire weapon systems basically. So everything they get taught in phase 1 training, other than the weapon systems, we that's what we do with the colleges. So when they leave us to start their phase 1 training, they've got a massive head start.
So they should be able to navigate by then. They should be able to, do you cover things like section drills and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they'll know what they'll know what to expect and judging distance and all the good stuff and well, cool. So how long have you been doing that for now?
Just under 7 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm now the deputy regional operations manager for the south of England. So I focus on the recruitment for 11 academies in the south. So as you can imagine, I'm in the car quite a lot.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah.
I think our furthest academy is down in Plymouth, which is a little bit of a trek, but always nice to go and visit.
And how's your back now? How's that coping up with it?
Not good.
Because you sat in the car. I get out of the car like a prehistoric monster, like, you know what I mean? And mine's all right technically.
I had my last operation in May this year, so I had an A-lift, so it was a fusion, my L5, this one, through the stomach.
Yeah.
I've got another fusion coming up in the next 6 months, so they're going to fuse my L3, L4. I think by the time I'm 40, I'll probably have my whole spine fused. It'll be like a scaffold. I think I'll be bending like that in due course. But yeah, as I said earlier on, I feel lucky that I'm here, that I'm walking.
Yeah. With the young people, when you take them in there, what would your advice be to a young person that wants to join the military? What would you say concentrate on? Say I'm sat in school now, I'm 13, 14 years old, I'm thinking I might have a little go at the military. What would your advice be to that person in school?
Do some research. There's so many job roles in the military most people have never heard of.
Yeah.
Definitely do some research and get that base level of fitness. There's nothing stopping you going out and doing a little run and doing your press-ups and sit-ups and stuff at home.
Yeah.
A lot of people think you need to go down the gym and become a beast with the weights and things, and it's not like that in phase 1 or phase 2.
No.
You're built up to that, which is exactly what we do at the colleges. So we have a bib system. So a blue bib is a beginner, and it goes all the way up to green, which is advanced.
Okay.
Once a month we do our military fitness assessments, and depending on what scores they get.
So what do they do? A bleep test?
The bleep test, med ball throw, press-up, sit-up test. And depending on how many points they get, dictates what bib they are.
Yeah.
That determines how hard their phys is going to be. So,
Oh, okay.
So if they're a green bib, if we're going to do a run, for example, they might do 10 miles.
Do they run with weight at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Thursday is probably the favourite day of the learners. That's our full military day.
Okay.
So as soon as they get to college, they're straight in the rig and then right in the field all day. And it is doing everything they get taught in phase 1. I've been in the field, section battle drills, auto patrol.
Battle PT, do any battle PT log runs, that sort of stuff?
So,
no, I want a bit of this. No, brilliant. So, your plans now, what's your plans for the future?
I want to get this next operation out of the way.
Okay.
I've seen the email floating about for the next Invictus Games, which is in Whistler. Don't think I'm going to be able to go for that.
You don't think you're going to be able to go for that?
Just because of the next operation I've got on the
Okay.
the recovery time after. But I'm hoping to do one more in the future. I'd love to do that 100 metres again and maybe get that bronze this time. Yeah. I'll be leading next time.
Yeah. So, anything else you want to plug while you're here?
No, just we've got 39 military academies at the minute, and a lot of the academies have got spaces available. So if there is anyone out there that is interested or knows anyone that
we'll stick all the links in on this afterwards, because we'll definitely, like I say, I'm a great supporter of it. Like I say, my stepson went through it, and I had a grandson go through it, and although my grandson was never ever going to make the military, guaranteed, because he's got learning difficulties and all the rest of it, they still took him and they still did some really, really good stuff with him. He was there for about a year and a half, and it really progressed his own personal life massively.
Fantastic.
Do you know what I mean? Even though we knew that he wasn't going to get in, they took him, they worked with him. Do you know what I mean? Everybody else, the team atmosphere that was around him was absolutely superb, and they did him absolutely proud. So I know it's a great organisation. So thanks for what you're doing with that, because it is a really great thing. I do genuinely mean that as well. Do you know what I mean? I think what you do. So, like I say, when it comes to plugging something, you couldn't plug anything better for me, because I think it's a great thing.
I appreciate that. That's great to hear.
Lovely. Anyway, look, I hope you'll become a friend of the show.
Definitely.
Hopefully, I'll see you around, because if you are dealing down south, maybe we'll see you about, and who knows, we might even have you on. If you get the Invictus Games again next time, it'd be great to have you in for another chat and see how you do.
Yeah, and then I'll invite you along to one of our battle PT sessions.
Mate,
well.
I would love to come. I would love to come. I will definitely 100% come.
Yeah, I'll be in touch.
Okay. Brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you on. All right.
Cheers. Pleasure.
Awesome.